Hey, what's up, friends? Ray with Dock and Timber Works. We have got some fresh and green sycamore. We are using a 5/16 drill bit for the Nova woodworm screw. I'm just kind of eyeballing the middle and eyeballing the depth somewhere between, half inch, 3/4. This one's got a big old branch sticking out from the side of it. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm thinking when I make these blanks. Okay, so we're going to turn these two guys out, and then we're also going to be talking about some mistakes that can be made while you're turning your blanks out. Um, Primarily, uneven thickness. Okay, this guy here suffers from uneven thickness and gets a huge crack down, actually, two huge cracks throughout it. So, and I mean, it happened like the day after or 2 days after. It was rapid fast. So stick around, see what I did wrong, and see what y'all can do to avoid making the same mistake. And then you can't really see it that well, but I like to, when I turn out decent sized blanks, 8 inches and above, I like to use the 4-inch jaws on my Nova Chuck rather than the 2-inch or the 50 mil that it comes with. Not only is it a larger diameter footprint, twice the size there, but the actual wall thickness of the jaws is considerable compared to the 50 mils. And you just get a lot more sturdy and better mounting surface for your woodworm screw. And so these blanks are almost a first for me because I actually used a bandsaw to cut them. So they're actually kind of nice shape, kind of round. So I'm more concerned with getting the bottom flattened out and evened out and losing some of the vibration on the bottom, as opposed when I normally start. I start with big old hexagons, and I'm worried more about the outside and getting it round and not an octagon shape. So it's kind of nice starting from a bandsaw blank. I kind of like it. And y'all know me, I'm all over the place with my bowl gouges. I can't settle on anything. I don't really know where I want to be with my gouges quite yet. So I'm playing with the 40/40 push cuts. And I've got the 40/40 grind on this gouge. And it works pretty good. The peeling cut across the bottom's kind of a little bit slow. But once you start doing the actual push cuts, it really hogs out material and leaves a nice surface. It's a good design, and I like it. I wish I was a little more proficient in the grinding and the sharpening of it. I've never had any hands-on or anybody help me out with it, so I can only assume I'm doing it okay or kind of correct. Well, I mean, it's sharp. I mean, it cuts, so I guess I'm in the ballpark, right? But I can't wait for Stuart Batty's new gouges to come out. I pre-ordered a 5/8 gouge, and that'll come pre-ground with a 40/40 on it, so I'll be able to tell and compare with what I've been doing. And this isn't really how he does it, Batty. He usually turns between centers, then does a mortise on the top, and then gets into the jaws as quick as he can, and doesn't turn with the tailstock much. I have, the woodworm screw, so I'm trying to keep the tailstock on as long as I can until I have to make that corner, and then see, now it's got to go. But like I said, I've never had one of these things fail. I don't reuse the hole, and I always use a 5/16 hole, and I've never had a problem with these things. I've heard of other guys having problems with them, but I've never experienced it. And some of the more prominent turners that I watch and follow and basically have learned from all use them too. So I'm pretty comfortable with the woodworm screw. This sycamore, it's some interesting stuff. I had no idea that it was in the maple family until I turned a bowl that had some ambrosia streaks in it, and I posted on Facebook in a few groups, and I thought it was the coolest thing and thought it was the most rare thing around, and people are like, well, yeah, it's a maple, duh. Doesn't smell nothing like maple. It doesn't have any sweet character to it or anything like some of the maples that I've turned, but it's definitely a cool looking wood. Check this out. My camera's falling. I wasn't doing anything with the editing. This is just the camera falling. Yeah. About the only thing that really came up when I read into sycamore for turning is that it has a high moisture content and then exceeds the rule or the normal standard 10% movement rule that we typically follow. So I guess it kind of shifts and moves around quite a bit. This piece was interesting because it has just a little bit of the beginnings of some spalting in it, orientation too. Not a whole lot of discernible or noticeable heartwood in these blanks. So, yeah, I just kept them in this orientation, and it's already, what am I trying to get at? When the bark is on the bottom like this, you lose a lot less material if this is the bottom of the bowl, and you just kind of follow that contour. And, if I flipped it around, you would lose probably 3 inches of depth trying to flatten the top out unless you kept it live edge. If y'all kind of can get what I'm getting at, I don't know. I did recently, just before turning these, completed a live edge sycamore bowl, and it was kind of on the whim, and I just started turning and I didn't record it, and I'm really kind of bummed out about it because it's a really cool bowl. It's actually, I believe it might be the biggest bowl that I've turned yet. Maybe not. I think maybe that spalted maple might be a little bit bigger because of the depth. But it had the ambrosia streaks in it, and they're red. And it's a really cool looking piece. I'll have to post some of the pictures up on the community tab because, like I said, I don't have any video footage of it. But this bowl's getting the same treatment as the last one. Get the bottom knocked off, get the sides rounded out and true so that we can turn up the RPMs and turn without wobbling. And here I noticed that the gouge was a little bit dull, and I'm just showing you in real time. It doesn't take much. It takes, maybe 1 minute, 1.5 minutes to just walk over to the grinder, touch it up, and then get back to turning. A lot of people that are proponents of carbide say, oh, you got to stop every 10 minutes to sharpen. It don't take much. And then you have a really, really sharp blade and a smooth cut and a smooth finish with a lot less tear out and a lot less vibration. I don't want to knock carbide, but I was just at a workshop earlier today, and the guy next to me was turning with carbide, and it was making me nervous because of the sheer amount of vibration and noise that was coming from his machine. I was like, oh, please don't let this bowl blow up and hit me in the back of the head. I mean, it was loud. It was just because you're just digging a scraper in, and I haven't turned like that in a long time. That's how I taught myself with carbides. They have their place in their time. I like them for hollowing, but it's rough. It's rough on the wood. It's rough on the machine to just dig a scraper in and basically abrade a whole bowl. Yeah, so this stuff is kind of ho-hum as far as I'm concerned as the actual turning of the wood goes. It doesn't smell good. It doesn't smell bad. And it seems to cut all right. But I really like the way maple smells when you turn it. And it cuts easy. And I love the way cherry smells when you cut it. And the way it looks and everything else. So this is kind of middle of the road for me so far with my experience, the sycamore. It doesn't stank, kind of like elm or oak can. Oak can be pretty barnyardy, if you will. And I don't like the smell of box elder either. To me, it smells like a weed or a weird vegetable or something like broccoli or something. I'm not a fan of actual turning box elder. The end result of it's beautiful, especially if you get some flame in it. But yeah, the smell of the different woods when you're sitting there and you're bathing in the wet wood and their sap and all that stuff, it really makes a difference. Walnut has a good smell, but once it's dry and you get to sanding and all that stuff, it gets pretty irritating on the nose. But the beginning aspects of it is smells really good. That brings up another thing. I turn mostly green wood. I rough bowls out and then I never get to them again. I enjoy roughing them out, but I don't like turning them back. And so today's workshop was platters with kiln dried ash, and it just reinforced and reminded me that I don't like turning dried wood. I'm a green wood turner, I guess, but yeah, it's interesting the complete differences. So I'm forming the tenon, and you saw me there with my dividers and mark them out. That's another good aspect of the 40/40 gouge is it has that sharp nose, and it's good for putting dovetailed tenons on. You don't need to go back and true it up with a spindle gouge. It's just got the right proper angle for doing that. It's not as easy with a blunter 55 or a 60-degree nose. And so I've been hanging out with worldwide wood turners lately, and they're kind of roping me in and wrangling me in a little bit. And they're a good influence on me. As you can see, I've got my tailstock support in as long as I can. They're kind of trying to reaffirm some of the more positive safety aspects that I might have neglected early on. I'm wearing my face shield more often. I'm wearing dust protection, trying to use my tailstock as much as I can. I love this hobby. I love this art form, and I want to do it as long as I possibly can. Yeah, so the best way to do that is to turn safe. So I really enjoyed spending some time in the weekly meetings with the worldwide wood turners. They're great guys. Really, really enjoy the group. And like I said, today I was at a workshop today with the Detroit area wood turners, my local turning group. Awesome. Awesome. Man, having, peers and fellowship and, just people that do the same thing with you. And actually today's workshop was the first time I really had hands-on experience with another turner. I'm kind of pretty much self-taught, and today was cool. There was like 5 of us in the class and an instructor, and we did some platters. It was really good times. I wish I could have filmed that for y'all, but no, it came out pretty cool. I was my first artsy type thing that I did. I'll throw some pictures up of it too. I got to use one of those cool little Merlin, like little chainsaw wheel to do some texturing on the platter rim. It was really cool. So, at the beginning of the video, I was talking about one of the worst things, or not the worst things, but one of the things you need to do to avoid cracking of the bowls. And that is you need even thickness on your walls, especially, doing these twice turned bowls, and you want it to go set out and dry. I normally do pretty good. I have a real high success rate with my bowls. And I believe this one here did just fine. But the other one, I got lazy, and I kind of knew it. When I picked it up at the end of the day and was walking into the house with it, I kind of felt it, and I was like, oh man, this thing don't feel right. Nah. And what I should have done, I still had the tenon on it. I should have just chucked it up and cleaned it up like I knew I should have, and it would have been fine. But I let it do its thing and was kind of lazy about it, and it really split. Now this one here had some cracking already initially, and I was hoping to work through it. And this one too. You see me putting some super glue on it, trying to slow it down before it even goes into the drying process. I get so much wood sometimes that I can't process it down, and it splits while it's on the ground before I can get onto it on the lathe. I've been working a lot lately. So, and then, this is my first experience with sycamore, and it really has a lot of moisture, and it really loses a lot of moisture fast. So, that's the other thing that I can suggest to you is if you get wood down and you get it home, seal it up, get the pith out, and get some sealer on it. I've been bad about it. I've gotten away with a lot of it with maples and walnuts and some more stable wood. This stuff, not so much. it really wants to, you know, like I said, the internet was true on it, or it wasn't lying, where this stuff moves and shakes. It really moves, and it will split and crack on you real fast. So, a couple of the most important things you can do is, you know, get the log home, cut the pith out, seal the ends. Okay, and then I don't like to actually make the blanks until I'm actually ready to turn. And I'll, like, if it's 18 inches wide, I'll keep it 22 inches long, so that I've got 4 inches of end grain that I can cut off if it splits and cracks, and still have an 18 by 18 piece. And then when you go to rough these bowls out, take your time and get them even. What I did was, you know, it looked good up towards the rim and the top 2/3 of the bowl, but the bottom third down by the shoulder where it transitions, I got sloppy, and it was thick there, and it was thick in the bottom. And what that does is it gives you uneven drying times. You know, the thinner part up toward the top, it's going to dry and evaporate way faster and start moving before the bottom does, before the bottom loses its moisture and starts moving. So you're just inducing stress, and the wood doesn't know what to do, and it cracks. And you know, when stuff moves, the weakest point gives, and it cracks. And you know, I know better, and most of us know better, but we sometimes skimp on it. A lot of times I won't even seal these bowls when I twice turn them. You know, I just toss them on the shelf and call them good. These ones, since they already had cracks in them, I went ahead and put some Elmer's school glue on them. And like I said, 2 days later, the one that was uneven split wide open like oh man, it was bad, like the San Andreas Fault. And then the other one, even though it already had cracks in it, I turned it even, and it didn't move none. It was as good as can be. So if you're going to take the time to do this stuff, do it right. And you know, I'm starting to almost think, I'm starting to learn that maybe it's time to start using some measuring devices, maybe start using some calipers, and checking even wall thicknesses, because you know, if you're going to go through half the effort of doing this, you might as well go through all the effort, so it's not wasted time. See, yeah, I don't know. Just looking at this, I can tell I need to drop down maybe a whole 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch more on the bottom, just looking at it. And while I got y'all's attention, if you can, go ahead and hit the subscribe and the like button and do all that good social media, YouTube stuff. You know, it helps me out. I'm trying to grow the channel, trying to get things going. You know, the first big goal is 500 subscribers, and then, you know, 1,000 subscribers. And then from then on out, I don't know. I guess it just is what it is. But yeah, man, if y'all could, man, I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. Okay, so this is the one where I paid attention to and really kept the depth and the thickness even, and did a much better job. The first one, which I said, you know, had the spalting in it, which is kind of unfortunate, I didn't do as good a job. Y'all have to stay tuned and keep an eye out to see when I finish these out and see how they look. Okay, so here's the guy I screwed up on, and look at that crack, man. That is huge. And then we've also got one here, which is a shame too. Well, I mean, I think it'll work out in the end because it's spalted in that one area. We'll just use black, you know, Starbond CA in there, and it should come out pretty good. But it's hard to tell on video. You know, this right here through the shoulder down here was too thick, and the bottom was too thick, and so it was really uneven when it dried, and it gave it that. Where am I? Oh, here's the other one I did. Okay, so here's the other one in the video. You saw me gluing this up. This hasn't grown any, so it's doing well. Oh, I was looking at my bowls and checking things out, but You know, sometimes it's just, a lot of it has to do with how thick you turn it and how well you do things. This is spalted maple, and it was turned good thickness. There's not a single crack in it, and it's not coated with anything. It's not coated. It's just a raw wood bowl. I didn't put any sealer on it. You know, here's another one in that same situation. No sealer on it, no cracks. This is cherry. It's got a little bit of weird stuff going on right here. You can see the super glue. But what that is a bark inclusion. And those usually, as they dry out, they shrink and pull away and do some weird things. But that's from a bark inclusion. Okay. This one was done with Elmer's glue. I can always tell by the texture. You can feel the glue. And, you know, it leaves spots. But no cracks. Some really nice sugar maple. I want to turn this bowl. No cracks, no end grain sealer. Shagbark hickory, it's got Elmer's glue. No cracks. Thick. Look how thick that thing is. Okay, so here's some white oak with anchor seal. Crack. You know, the way it's supposed to be, though. I mean, that's a nice tight bowl. This one, same process, almost the same bowl. No cracks. Anchor sealed. Box elder. Raw, nothing. No cracks. A little bit of cracks here. And there. Anchor seal. This is, I'm glad this didn't crack. This is the big bowl. Big 280-year-old white oak that's been anchor sealed. It was cored too. There's its cores, no cracks. Interesting crack through there, but this is a quarter sawn bowl. Maple. It's got Elmer's glue. Mulberry, nothing on it, and the only thing that's kind of cracking is there's a pith in it, and that's, you know, Elmer or CA glue on there, some thin Star Bond. But other than that one pith in there, you know, no cracking, and there's no end grain sealer on it. Nice cherry bowl, no end grain sealer. No cracks. So, I'll just leave that out there. I mean, y'all can do whatever voodoo magic that you do to your bowls. I usually just put a little bit of Elmer's, or I don't do anything to it. The white oak I've had problems with. This particular tree. Not this one. Not the 280-year-old one, but the other stuff. This one here, no matter what, whether it's this tree, just cracks. I don't get it. But it is what it is. I gotta get going to work. Y'all have a good one.